Marriage isn't easy, and no one truly tells you how hard it can get until you're knee-deep in the kind of silence that no longer feels peaceful. In the kind of arguments that leave you more exhausted than heard. Or in the kind of distance that makes your partner feel like a stranger. I want to speak to you, not as a professional sitting in a distant office, but as a woman who has sat with countless couples and heard the same whispered phrase over and over again, "I can't do this anymore." And if that's where you are right now, before you walk out, before you let that sentence become a decision, please hear me out. The truth is, most marriages don't break overnight. They unravel slowly, through unmet needs, unspoken resentment, misaligned expectations, and above all, through the slow erosion of empathy. That doesn't make you a bad spouse. It makes you human. And the good news is, if you're still watching this, still listening, it means some part of you still cares, still hopes, and hope, in the hands of two willing people, is powerful. Let's start with one of the most overlooked truths about marriage. You are not married to the same person forever. Your partner will change. You will change. The person you fell in love with might become someone unrecognizable after years of stress, children, job loss, health struggles, or grief. But change isn't the enemy. Refusing to adapt is. In my practice, I often compare marriage to a garden. If you expect it to bloom year-round without watering, without removing weeds, without protecting it from frost, then you're not being fair to the garden, or to each other. Here's something else that's important. Conflict is not a sign of failure. In fact, some of the strongest couples I've worked with had intense arguments. The difference is, they learned how to fight fair. Fighting fair means sticking to the issue, not attacking the person. It means saying, "I feel hurt when," instead of, "You always make me feel." It means taking breaks when things escalate instead of storming out or shutting down. If you were never taught how to navigate conflict, don't blame yourself. Most of us weren't, but it's never too late to learn. Another common theme I hear is, "We've grown apart." That's valid. Careers, parenting, relocations, emotional trauma, they all have a way of shifting priorities and draining energy. But here's the key. Emotional intimacy doesn't disappear, it fades when it's no longer tended to. So ask yourself, when was the last time you sat down and talked about something other than logistics or complaints? When was the last time you asked your partner what they're afraid of lately? Or what dream they've quietly put on hold? Emotional reconnection doesn't begin with romance, it begins with curiosity. And speaking of romance, let's clear up a myth. Love is not always a feeling. Love, especially in long-term commitment, is a choice, a daily decision. Some days, you'll feel it deeply, on others, you won't. On those days, choosing to act in love even when your feelings are absent is what keeps the bond alive. That's not being fake, that's being committed. In fact, some of the most transformative moments in marriage happen when one partner chooses love when it's hardest. Like making a cup of coffee after a fight, or staying to talk even when walking away would feel easier. If you feel like your needs aren't being met, I want you to consider this. Have you expressed those needs clearly? Or are you hoping your partner will just know? As women and men, we often communicate in drastically different ways. In Western cultures, especially in the US and Europe, many of us were raised to prize independence and avoid vulnerability. But in marriage, vulnerability is your superpower. Instead of saying, "You never help me," try, "I'm overwhelmed and I need your support tonight." That small shift can move the conversation from blame to partnership. Now let's talk about emotional safety. If your marriage lacks trust, if you feel constantly criticized, gaslighted, or emotionally dismissed, those are serious issues. No amount of patience or communication will heal a marriage without psychological safety. If that's your reality, I urge you to seek professional help. Therapy is not an admission of failure, it's an act of courage. Think of it like this: if your roof was leaking, You wouldn't wait until the house floods to fix it. You'd call a professional early. The same principle applies here. You might also be feeling stuck because the life you imagined is not the life you ended up with. That grief is real. Maybe you dreamed of travel, but now you're buried in bills. Maybe you wanted more children, or none at all. Maybe your partner has changed in ways that hurt. Give yourself permission to mourn that gap. But don't stay there. Reimagine, renegotiate, reinvent. The most resilient couples I know didn't go back to how things used to be. They created something new with what they had. One of the most practical things you can do starting today is to create small rituals of connection. And I mean small. A 5-minute check-in every night. A simple, "How can I support you this week?" A goodbye kiss that isn't rushed. These moments add up. They build trust. They signal care. They remind your partner, and yourself, that you're not alone in this. Also, take care of your own well-being. Many of us expect our partners to meet every emotional need. That's an impossible job. Have your own support network. Reconnect with your interests. Build self-respect. When you bring a full version of yourself into the relationship, you give your marriage a better chance to thrive. And finally, remember this. Every long-term relationship has seasons. There are seasons of closeness, of survival, of rebuilding, of rediscovery. Just because you're in a winter season doesn't mean spring won't come. But it will only come if both people are willing to hold on through the cold. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's quiet, even when it's lonely. If you're watching this thinking, "But I'm the only one trying," then try a little longer. Speak clearly, act kindly, be honest, and invite your partner to the table of healing. But if they refuse, if there is no effort, no change, no safety, then you have every right to choose peace for yourself. You are not weak for staying. And you are not selfish for leaving when staying costs your dignity or your mental health. But before you say, "I can't do this anymore," ask yourself, have I truly been seen? Have I truly spoken my truth? Have I truly asked for what I need with clarity, humility, and courage? And if the answer is no, then maybe there's still something worth fighting for. Let love be more than a feeling. Let it be a practice, a choice, a legacy. Because sometimes, the most beautiful love stories begin not with fireworks, but with two people quietly choosing to stay. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so we can keep exploring the secrets to lasting happiness in marriage together. See you soon in the next video.